This is the factory of the future. This is state-of-the-art manufacturing.
You see a lot of packaging happening overseas, but that creates a major security risk for the United States.
They need a secure facility to fab for very specific high technology, technically low volume mix set. And we have that ready to go now for our customers. And everything was tenfold more applicable, especially working in a company like Northrop.
It is extremely rare. The integrators and the operators don't necessarily talk as often, especially for defense applications.
So impressed with our internal investment in it. I think it's been really successful so far, and I only see continued growth, especially with the future state of the way manufacturing is moving.
This was going to be the way that the United States was going to make a big splash. Hey, Brittany, thanks so much for joining us here on Microjourneys. It's a pleasure to be here in the DMV, and I'm excited to sit down and chat with you for a little bit.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for you to be here and me to join you today on your podcast.
So you're a native of the area, right? You grew up in the Maryland area, correct?
Yeah, I'm from the Eastern Shore of Maryland, a little town called Chestertown. And I went to school in Maryland. I went to Towson University for my undergrad and Loyola for my grad school experience, and been local ever since.
Now, what did you study while you were there?
My undergrad was in business and an emphasis in international studies. And then my MBA was also business related.
Now, was that your kind of passion right out of high school to get into like the business world, or?
Yeah, I think I wanted to be involved in that some capacity, and I knew that. I actually did my grad school experience at Loyola while working at Northrop Grumman. So when I started at the company, I knew that it was a place that I could really grow. And I saw enhancing my degree as a way to do that. And Northrop facilitated that as well. So that's when I got my MBA while working full time, and kind of catering to that experience to help me to where I am today.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're able to get kind of a little touch of what industry is doing and kind of the needs that Northrop would have while still getting your education. So it's kind of an overlap, right?
Yeah. So I thought going to grad school while having business experience was so much more applicable as opposed to continuing education back to back. I think you could do it either way. For me personally, once I had that real world work experience, I felt like I was able to apply that much better with my MBA.
Yeah. Well, and then you can kind of hear their real time kinds of questions and how that applies to what you're learning in school, right?
Everything was tenfold more applicable, especially working in a company like Northrop.
Yeah. So with working at Northrop, Northrop has such a big presence across the United States. Was your prime engagement over in Lithicum or a different site? And I guess, how was that engagement?
Yeah. So I started the company, and really what drove me to even being interested in something like that, I've always had a passion for something that's just like beneficial to the greater good, impactful. The company's mission statement, everything really pulled me in that direction. And my first job at Northrop Grumman was in global supply chain over 12 years ago, or about 12 years ago now. So starting there and kind of learning the business and learning about the buying strategy was kind of the way that I got my foot in the door there. What appealed also to me is that we have so many different enabling business functions. So I could really become a well-rounded professional. I didn't have to stay in supply chain to continue to grow. I mean, you can do a lot of different things. But from there, I sort of pivoted. I had an interest in learning proposals and how we bid on these huge competitive deals. So I worked there for several years. And again, I gained really, really good experience. And then from there, I went into a more technical facet with our test design engineering department. And test design, you're designing, you're building, you're testing. All of these things are at the system level, super important. And really where I think I've found myself in the past 5 years is a real passion for like manufacturing and building. I worked in our operations and manufacturing group for many years. I love a tangible thing. I love taking something from just an idea to a product and delivering that. So I think I really found my footing there. So all these things sort of led me to this, what I think is like a program lifecycle, understanding the buying strategy, understanding how to design it, understanding how to build it, and then execute and deliver. So now in this programmatic role as a program manager in advanced packaging, I've taken the past 10 years of different work experience in different bubbles within Northrop, and I'm applying it to these real customers within the DIB and commercial base and delivering this tangible product, which I just really like a ton. And I just feel like it was such a good growth opportunity for me from a young person to where I am today. all within one company.
What a cool background. And the reason I'm saying it's cool is, I mean, you look at where we're at today, right? You have Secretary Hegseth that's really saying, hey, we got to move faster in an acquisition perspective, right? And having the lessons learned in that capacity, understanding the difference between one proposal going to a FAR-based contract, another one going to an OTA, others leveraging IDIQs, which are all fall underneath, Northrop Grumman's umbrella, is extremely valuable. And then you couple that with the technical piece. Now, you have kind of a 1-2 punch, which is extremely rare, especially for people on the technical side. Most people don't get that kind of exposure. And then the cherry on top here is that microelectronics is required for every technology. The example I like to use is that you can have microelectronics without hypersonics, but you can't have hypersonics without microelectronics. So it's integrated into everything that we do. How have you seen, that double coupling benefit your kind of pathway over at Northrop Grumman?
Yeah, so I know you met with my colleague, Dave Shaheen, and I thought that was such a good interview. And he talked a lot about the NGMC, the Northrop Grumman Microelectronics Center, and us being in this open access, which was at the end of 2023 that rolled out. So underpinning to everything at the system level is microelectronics. Northrop Grumman's been doing it for 70 years. Some people know about it, some people don't. We've been in this business onshore for a very long time. What I love about it and what I love about packaging is that we're taking something that used to be big, bulky, limited capability, and we're maximizing it. It's the maximum capability, best technology, and the tiniest little footprint that you can put on your thumb. So that to me is super exciting. It's awesome to be a part of, and delivering that not just to our DIB customer who has a real need for that and understanding that need, but also talking with commercial people. It's so interesting in my role now as a program manager in Advanced Packaging Group. I'm meeting with these customers and they're asking us about our open access modeling, and they're saying, oh, you can bump in a Popka, or oh, you can dice there and you test it. Oh, you can assemble it as well. I didn't know you could do all that. I didn't know that was a capability. I can bring that in-house. And it doesn't have to be this like super, super specialized one-time thing. I'm not saying it's going to be at the commercial scale, right? That's okay. But it can be, from a development level to a production level. And we can do that.
So let's take a step back. When you talk about this microelectronics kind of fabrication capability, what does Northrop Grumman fabricate? I mean, is it? We understand what the difference is between the capabilities there at Northrop, but for those that don't track Northrop's offerings or may be interested in some of Northrop's offering, what are the fab pieces? And then we'll get into the packaging pieces.
Yeah. So for those of people that don't know, we have two foundries, one in Linthicum, where I'm based out of, Maryland area. There's also one out in Space Park. So the Space Park foundry has been in the game commercially selling items to people for 30 plus years. A lot of telecommunications, commercial type companies, DIB spaces, they've known about that for a while. And in Baltimore, we've been doing this for a long time as well. So at the foundries, that's your chip. That's your next hire would be what you put into the advanced packaging. So I think there's a whole gamut of capabilities that they have. Actually, our website's a really great place to point people to if they're saying like, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? Silicone GaN, copper pillar, whatever it may be. We have tons of capability that we can run through there with our wafers fabs.
And it's different than what you hear some of the big press releases of the state-of-the-art fabs, right? You guys are not manufacturing smallest node size and the such like a TSMC would or an Intel and the such. My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Northrop Grumman has a high mix of technologies, lower volumes, which have more of an overlap with the Department of War and the requirements of those types of programs. Did I get it right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We have catered to these customers for, like I said, many, many years. So in comparison to the commercial space where they do millions and millions and it's going in your cell phone, things like that, that's not what our customer has called for. And that's not what our customer needs. They need a secure facility to fab for very specific high technology, technically low volume mix set. So,
And that's a great point with the secure piece, right?
Mhm.
Not every facility that manufactures electronics has a DoD approved secure capability for manufacturing. Northrop Grumman has multiple sites that are
Absolutely.
accredited by the Department of War, specifically the Defense Microelectronics Activity in concert with DCSA, which allows for secure manufacturing at the fab and other portions of the supply chain, right?
Correct. Absolutely. So we're onshore, we're secure, we protect our customers' IP, and we've been doing it for a really long time.
So when a chip is made at these two different sites, right? It comes out as a bare die.
Mhm.
And then you were describing something as the next step in the supply chain, which is the packaging piece.
Or bumping piece. Yeah. So I think Dave had talked to you a little bit about in our facility in Apopka, we are able to bump the die on the package.
So after a component leaves one of the two fabs that you guys have at Northrop Grumman, then it transitions over to a packaging portion of the process. And when I was interviewing your colleague, Dave, we talked about a lot of the other stuff that's going on in Apopka. Is that the central location for a lot of the packaging stuff at Northrop Grumman?
So when it comes to bumping, different varying wafer sizes, they've actually just set up the capability of 300 millimeter wafer as well in Apopka. When it comes to bumping and dicing that wafer, yes, you would send it to Apopka. And when we're thinking about the product life cycle from fabrication, bump, the next step could really be the assembly portion of the package. And that's putting all the pieces and components together and assembling it with us, potentially in Baltimore. So for the past couple years, what I've been working on and our team, Dave included, has been working on is really expanding our footprint, our clean room spaces, our state-of-the-art manufacturing tools and technology to build and package these items are all stood up. And we've actually also co-located it with test. So when you see this kind of full product lifecycle come to gamut and come to, a potential delivery point, which is Northrop Grumman is delivering tested, known good packaging products, known good die to the end state customer. And that customer could be internal. Customer could be in the DIB space, as well as available commercially. So I think what we've been able to offer, and even at Apopka, when they do bumping down there, they can take it from our wafer fab, but they also work with other wafer fabs, specifically onshore, like your global foundries or something like that. They're running these things every single day today, now. And from the assembly portion in Baltimore, I'm meeting with different customers and talking to different people about the spaces. I think I commented this before. I'm so surprised that you guys do this. I'm so surprised you have this capability. This is the factory of the future. This is state-of-the-art manufacturing. And we have that ready to go now for our customers. So it's really exciting.
You guys are breaking down so many different barriers. I mean, one of the big ones is it's not a traditional thing to have a company that has a fab also do packaging as well, in concert with the packaging being here domestically. So you see a lot of packaging happening overseas, over in Asia. I mean, Thailand, Singapore. These are countries that are typically known, Malaysia, they're typically known for doing a lot of the packaging stuff. But that creates a major security risk for the United States because now you're shipping these components internationally. You have people that may have, good intentions. You may have people that don't have good intentions. As you start expanding out the supply chain, the risk level just continues to go up. That's one interesting area. But the other interesting area is the fact that you've created this ecosystem of partnerships with your traditional pure play locations, like you mentioned, Global Foundries, for example, which wouldn't typically look to a defense prime for these kinds of things. They would look more on the commercial side for offerings. So one of the things that I'd love to get your perspective on is how has the reception been in now opening the doors over at Northrop Grumman for people to have this open access and opportunity to leverage your guys' not only skill sets, but tool sets to accomplish, the whatever it be, commercial or, defense related end deliverables?
Yeah. So I think this really steps back to Northrop Grumman saw there was this onshore business need. We've been onshore. We've never left. and they've heavily invested in our internal capabilities to meet our customer need. So regardless of who the customer might be, we understand that it needs to be on American soil, and that is the blood that runs through our veins with advanced manufacturing. So for us, making the internal investment, being able to provide these services in an open access platform opens a ton of different doors. And I am hearing from customers and from people just the ability to kind of shift that paradigm and have this different kind of less. I think historically, everyone has thought Northrop Grumman is just a prime. They operate in that space. It's really easy to operate in those silos and put people in different buckets. But having the NGMC open up and having this open access platform, and even having people coming in for tours and seeing these factories of the future and are so impressed with our internal investment in it, I think it's been really successful so far. And I only see continued growth, especially with the future state of the way manufacturing is moving.
Growth is a great word to use, because every time I've gone to the Lithicum site, it seems like there is a brand new crane installing something or a shipping container being put in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is not a stagnant moment that is happening at that site. And you guys are working with your competitiveness, which is really exciting. There was just a press release that came out that stated that other defense primes like Lockheed Martin, for example, have joined forces with Northrop Grumman to leverage the capabilities to ensure that we're buying down risk from a Department of War perspective, which is extremely exciting. And this is what I believe is the kind of the tip of the iceberg as it relates to this open access piece. But before we kind of get into that, what's your definition of the open access, and how is that involving people? Is it just the primes? Is it going to continue opening up to other parties? How does that work?
Yeah. So I think what you said makes a lot of sense. So we have a ton of capability. We've invested a ton in our capabilities, but we also can't do every single thing. And having a good partner within your industry and generally onshore is integral to the success of the NGMC and Northrop Grumman as a whole. The way I see the open access is just continued growth. We've been able to kind of shift the business in this way and make it less of what it was of years past. It doesn't just have to be so div focused. We have the capability, we have the secure availability to our customers to protect their IP, to do this stuff on soil, to provide a secure, known, good product to them. But we also can offer that in the commercial space to people who need our types of technology onshore built. So I do see that continuing to grow. I think the open access model is just that. It's available to everyone from a startup to the DIB space. And that's what's going to make us kind of continue to stand apart and to continue to grow our partnerships.
So one of the things that's in my head as well is, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, the fact that you guys are lower volume allows a lot more flexibility for the commercial people to leverage, kind of new ideas before they go to full rate, manufacturing and the such. Am I tracking this? Is that a true statement where maybe they don't want to do, a million packaged parts at a high volume packaging facility? They could use Northrop as something that maybe is a low volume type of kind of trial piece to see if there is utility with whatever new capability they have. Is that one of the pieces that's integrated into what you just described?
Yeah, definitely. And I think production level is our sweet spot. We've been doing it for a long time, especially in Baltimore emission systems, the system level items all over Northrop Grumman. We produce at that level every day in our factories. We're good at it. We know what we're doing. The commercial spaces and those offshore needs, creating millions and millions, that's their bag. It's always been their bag. We're not trying to do that. But what we can provide is this, we are an engineering technical company. We provide very dedicated solutions to our customers, but we can also scale it from a development item to a production level.
So when we were chatting before the podcast, one of the items that we were kind of talking about is wafer sizes, right?
Yeah.
300 millimeters. There's 200 millimeters. There's 150. Does Northrop Grumman have the flexibility to entertain, all different sizes of wafers from a packaging perspective? Is it limited to just kind of the same stuff that you're seeing at the two primary fab sites that you described over at Redondo Beach and in Baltimore? How does that work?
Yeah, so we do have from 150 to 300 in Papka. We just set up the 300 millimeter bumping capability in our advanced packaging line in Baltimore. We work with all different kinds of wafer sizes. Like I said, we can get a 12-inch wafer from Global Foundries, and we can bump that and we can package it for them if they need to. We have a lot of flexibility within that realm, regardless of the foundry that it's made.
And I mean, to that extent, I have to also assume that you're not just focused on logic, right? I mean, there's an ability to do things with power electronics, maybe gallium nitride, gallium arsenide, silicon carbide, indium phosphide. As long as the material isn't something that would contaminate some of the other stuff, there's a pretty flexible capability at Northrop, correct?
Definitely. And our engineering team is highly capable in the way that we'll drive you to the right solution. If you have an idea, we work with you. We kind of come to as a team to a solution that makes sense for and deliverable at customers. We have people that come to us and want something like that, a swap mix, material mix, whatever it might be. We can work within that realm, but we also have people that are coming to us just wanting ideas to say, could I try this? Maybe this would work. It doesn't have to be so stringent. Our team does this every day. And within the NGMC, we have that flexibility to kind of work with you on driving to a solution that makes sense because you want it to be affordable. You want it to work. You want maximum capability out of it, but you want it to fit on your thumb. So we don't expect every person to be a subject matter expert in this arena. We have those on hand. We have an engineering staff. We have a producible team that works on these things every single day. So we'll help to drive you to the right place.
A lot of businesses use the term one-stop shop, right?
Right.
But in essence, you guys are providing this kind of stuff. You guys are providing the manufacturing piece, but also the ability to have a technical kind of set of solutions for people that are interested in saying, hey, can I try this capability? Can I not try this capability? And it seems like you guys also have the foresight to suggest new things that maybe this packaging solution may not be the best fit. Maybe this one will be better, whether it be for swap requirements, cost requirements, et cetera, right?
Totally. And also, you want something that's repeatable. Most of our people that come to us and our internal customers even, they don't want to do something one time. They want to do it thousands of times. So we need to provide you with a manufacturing process that's producible and repeatable time after time. So we're not going to set people up for failure here. We're going to consult with you till we come to the right solution. And I don't think people are afraid of you saying, no, that's not a great idea. We should swap this for that. And this will get you to that cost point. And if you have a target, let's try to figure that out together. So I think having those conversations and the ability to have those conversations is what's really going to drive our continued success here.
A thing that escapes a lot of people when they think about microelectronics, they think that it kind of goes through the same standard set of items. And what I mean by that is the manufacturing process. It goes design, fab, post-processing, packaging assembly, test, and then it gets sent out. But in the environment that Northrop Grumman works in, it doesn't necessarily stop there. There are additional environmental and security requirements that could be layered onto this, whether it be operating in a trusted environment, ensuring that there's the security piece of this, anti-tamper related stuff, counterfeit related protections. But on the flip side, you have the environmental piece, right? Whether it be high reliability, whether it be humidity testing, whether it be radiation testing. So these are all items that Northrop Grumman provides as technical solutions, right? For the people that are incoming saying, I have said chip.
Yep.
This is what I want as a deliverable. Help me ensure that I, facilitate all of these requirements. Am I tracking this?
You are. And I think something just to emphasize there, part of the reason we did this clean room expansion and kind of growing our advanced packaging manufacturing cell is so we could co-locate it with test. So we have in the same facility, in the same building in Linthicum, our full, clean room, state-of-the-art manufacturing space to assemble your package. Down the hall, we then can test it for you. We can help develop the test specs. We can steer you in the right direction with the test specs. But the ease of the co-location, it just kind of goes back to our FedEx Flow. We want things to be as efficient as possible. And we have the same staff and team co-located to kind of drive that need to our customer. So I think, test is really important to us. The manufacturing piece is important to us, but kind of that bounce back between, like buildings or places or, people, we are not losing any efficiency there. We have maximum efficiency there today.
So, one of the other pieces that you're talking about, kind of just walking down the hall, being able to
Sure.
talk to an expert and the such. On the opposite end of this, you have the ability to walk down the hall and talk to program managers that are supporting large programs, right?
Sure.
From a system perspective, which is extremely rare, right? In the microelectronic space, the integrators and the operators don't necessarily talk as often, especially for defense applications, right? Where you would see other industries that there's a lot of communication that happens there. It's not uncommon that the program executive offices or the PEOs on the government side don't really have their hands in the microelectronics piece. But Northrop Grumman, having this whole ecosystem of stuff from building platforms to building chips, provides yet another utility that is extremely rare. How have you seen the benefits of having all of that kind of co-located underneath the Northrop Grumman umbrella?
So I think that's one thing that's unique and good about my role as a program manager there. So I work as an advanced packaging program manager. I interface with my customer all the time. And I think that's why a benefit of working with our area is that I'm your program manager for your full life cycle. I know what your needs are. I communicate with you every single week, every day, whether you're internal or external, whatever it may be. And we talk about the different levels and things that are going on. You don't have 15 different points of contacts. You have this single point of contact to kind of talk you through each step of your process flow and kind of navigate that with you. That's a part of my role. And I think our customer loves that. They love to just talk to one person, place one PO, have one single point so they can say, this is the most efficient process for what I need. I don't need to talk to 15 people. I don't need to jump through hoops to get something done. And that's part of the FedEx Flow and kind of really what makes it unique and special. We are maximum efficiency and we want to continue to grow to be that way for our customers. So in my experience so far, they love it. It's streamlined. And I think that's what people are calling for. They want to streamline this process. They want to streamline comms. They want to work with their PM.
You mentioned something that is a unique term to Northrop Grumman, right? The FedEx Flow.
Oh, sure.
What do you mean by the FedEx Flow?
So I think that typically, someone could place an order with a fab for their wafer. And then they get the wafer and say, okay, like, what do I have to do next? Do I have to bump it? I got to go back to engineering. Where do I store it? What can I do? Okay, now let me send it out to someone else who can bump it and dice it and do some post-processing for me. And they say, okay, well, now I have these 2 steps. What do I do? How do I put it all together? What components do I need? What swap signals do I need to meet? How do I test it? These are potentially an offshore person, a person, located at a different company, someone else that maybe they have a factory inside that can assemble for them. Instead of going to 3 or 4 different sources to get one product, you can just come to us and we've streamlined that completely for you. And again, as I said before, your wafer could be from a totally different foundry. It doesn't have to necessarily be from ours, but we have that flexibility.
The way I interpret that is you've just now tighten the timeline. So instead of it taking a bunch of iterations of figuring out who can do what's the availability, what's the cost, all of that kind of stuff, that just got tightened. And the cost, big factor, right? That's another one that gets tightened up because now you're not shopping this around and using a lot of operational expenses internally to figure out what's the next step. It's already mapped out as a solution. Now, is it the only solution that can be leveraged? No, there's certain times that there'll be different requirements that may break outside of this kind of norm, but you're presenting something that's turnkey. Do I have that right?
You do. And anything, we have a ton of capability as I said before, but we also have partners. We work with people every single day. If there is a solution that we can't meet, we have a suggested partner. We also manage that flow for our customer, for our partner. So if there is some level of the build that needs to be done outside of Northrop, we still manage the process, then we bring it back for them. So that's why this partnership and just our own scalability is so important. But you're right, it really comes down to maximum efficiency and capability.
So it sounds like you match a person at Northrop with the potential client to help. It's almost like you kind of partner them up, so that way there's a hand holding that goes through the entire process.
Yeah, so that's kind of my role, honestly, within the advanced packaging group as a program manager and in Dave's team. So, the way that we're set up is to be that for our customer, to be their sales contact, their single point of contact, whatever you want to call it, their account PMO.
Oh, that's incredible, because I mean I remember developing stuff over at DMEA and having to work with multiple people. You didn't know who to call,
Sure.
and sometimes it was like, wait, that's not the right person. He stops at this phase. We got to find a new person, and even worse, has to go to a different company. Wait a second, there's a conflict here. We have to deconflict that.
Yeah.
Timeline continues to get pushed out. Cost continues to get pushed out, which can just be challenging. But this really aligns with kind of the new initiatives that Secretary Hegseth has came out with, right? Let's move faster.
Yep.
Let's think bigger. And let's execute with more lethality, right? It seems like that's kind of integrated into what you guys have now established with this FedEx Flow, the Northrop Grumman Microelectronics Center, the NGMC.
Sure.
How have you guys seen the reception back from folks that are now leveraging this new rolled out capability?
I think I said this before. It's so funny. When I'm meeting with our customers, internal and external, I am hearing so much of, I didn't know you could do that. And I think it's so, I think we're continuing on this marketing campaign and continue to talk about all the cool stuff that we do. But I think once people are discovering that you don't have to work within this stringent past way that you used to do business, we have this new capability. We are operating with commercial-like processes to meet the needs of our customers, regardless of who they are. So I think adapting that and sort of that mind shift that we've been trying to do, just, I think we're bringing everyone to that. I think we can continue to talk about it and continue to present on our capabilities. And I think our marketing and our NGMC internal team is doing a really good job of blitzing this information out and letting people know like all the stuff that we can do. So I've seen just really positive and receptive feedback to that. But again, it is a lot of like, wow, I didn't know I could take advantage of this and my business could, benefit from this in such a significant way. So that's
Well,
cool.
and to double down on that, it is extremely uncharacteristic for a prime to have these capabilities, right? You look at the landscape. Northrop Grumman has most of the microelectronics manufacturing within the DIB, the Defense Industrial Base. Of course, there's other locations. Raytheon has a fabrication capability. BAE has but they're small. They're small in nature. Boeing doesn't. Lockheed Martin doesn't. And so there's with this diminishing manufacturing capability, an opportunity to leverage what you guys have established and potentially hear the feedback on what's lacking. So that way, if Northrop Grumman is going to make additional investments into expanding some of these pieces, whether it be from commercial requirements, customer requirements, or just technology advancements that are beneficial to the overall ecosystem, you guys are front and center for that, right?
Sure. Yeah. I can't say it enough. We've been doing this for 70 years and we have never left. Like when other people have taken their factories or things offshore, like we've remained onshore. And I think the forming of the NGMC was really marrying things that we already had into one business area to provide that capability. We're happy to partner with these different people. We're happy to partner with these different primes within the DIB, in these commercial spaces. And now we really can because we see, the signal signs. It needs to be onshore. It needs to be here. We're hearing that from, the Department of War. People are realizing Northrop can do that. They've been doing it and we can work together on it. So I think finding that solution, regardless of who is the end user, is something that is not as comfortable for people in the kind of a prime space. But I think people are coming around. And I think just the recognition from our leadership standpoint of making that internal investment at such a large scale, I think is, a really good sign to others to continue to grow and to focus on building things here on American soil.
So one of the things that's unique in the space that Northrop Grumman plays in is defense programs aren't like a cell phone. And what I mean by that is your iPhone it breaks down in a couple years, you just replace it, you get a new one, and you're off to the races. You can't really return a Department of War type of system, right? The B-21 Raider, right? I mean, there's not an iPhone shop to go return those to, so you can get a new one if a component fails. So sustainment is a humongous piece of the requirements to ensure that our national security maintains its same status. How is Northrop Grumman kind of attacking this from an electronic perspective? Commercially, I mean, technologies are sunset, what, after 10 years, something like that? What's the way that Northrop Grumman is operating in this space?
I mean, I think we've always done a really good job of supporting our legacy suites from the system level. We continue to do that. I think that microelectronics has been supporting this for so long, and we will continue to do that. But I think the factory of the future is adapting to some new needs. So what's interesting and I think unique about us is that we will continue to support the legacy system suite for as long as we are called to do so. But we are also adjusting and adapting to our new customer needs. So that's another benefit of working within our own factory. Within the same factory floor, you could be building something for a legacy system and you could be building something for a factory of the future or system of the future. And that's a uniqueness and ability and skill set really of our people.
And that's captured in what you were describing at the beginning, right? With the 300 millimeter and 150 millimeters, the wafer sizes. I mean, 150 is something that's classically identified as more of a legacy kind of wafer size, where 300 millimeters is more of the kind of the state of the art or the technologies of today. But being able to house all of those within this Northrop Grumman ecosystem is a testament to that sustainability, right? So we're not having to return the B-21 to the next, or back to Northrop to go fix a component. You guys have that kind of rapid turn.
I mean, I think that's a testament to us as a prime. We'll always support our customer, regardless of your legacy system or future system. We work with you. We continue to support. It will always be part of our business model. It has to be. And our factory capabilities are reflective of that.
So I mentioned a few minutes ago about Secretary Hegseth saying, let's move faster, right? And that's not only from a acquisition perspective, that's coming all the way from, the White House. Like, hey, we got to move and deploy stuff fast. And there's priorities that have been set on these kinds of things. Everything from increasing our shipbuilding capabilities to programs of the future like NGAD, for example. From a Department of War perspective, where do you see the overlap with Northrop Grumman in supporting some of the kind of future sets of requirements? You have all these commercial applications that are, out there, and they kind of give a template of the direction the technology is going. But there's also all of these different new seen and unforeseen kind of requirements that are needed from a Department of War. How is Northrop Grumman keeping pace with this, and what is the future of Northrop Grumman?
So I think we heard our customers to move fast. We hear from them. We need to do things differently. We need to move fast. We need to be more efficient. In the NGMC, we're adopting more commercial-like processes to meet that customer demand signal, to get there faster, get there at a better price point to meet our DIB signals, what they need as well. And we can kind of see what the commercial space is adapting, what the DIB space is asking for, and we can cater to both. So the NGMC and the FedEx Flow that we talked about and the way that we're kind of adopting or updating these processes, I think really helps to deliver that end state to the customer what they really want. They want this known good die package. They want it delivered to them, tested to them, and they want it in a shorter timeline than they ever have before. And the NGMC, because we have this efficient flow, can deliver to something like that.
The way I'm interpreting this is that you guys have your finger on the pulse of all of these different market segments, whether it be the microelectronics market segment, the Department of War's, driving demands, and the overlapping pieces with your guys' technical expertise is what helped drives these future investments at Northrop, correct?
Absolutely. And Northrop continues to make a ton of internal investment. And we're hearing, we have a very tight pulse on what we're hearing from our customer, what their needs are. And if we don't have the capability, we're investing in the capability, we're developing the capability, or we're partnering for it. And I think that's just a different process that we're open-minded to and we've been able to do. And I think it's executing well because of that, because we set up the NGMC, and because we've been doing microelectronics for such a long time for all of our systems. So I think, that's been received well. And I think we'll continue to hopefully have a lot of success there.
Well, speaking of success, you've had a pretty successful career in, starting out in a business acumen, going into this global supply chain, now pivoting into programmatics in a very highly technical field, where, I mean, living in this space, mistakes aren't something that you can get away with too much. So you have to keep your head down, always focused on these kinds of not only technological, but programmatic types of challenges. What's the future for you as your career continues to expand? And how do you see that continuing to support the mission?
I mean, what I love about working at Northrop and being there for almost 12 years is that I've been really able to try so many different things to figure out where my passions are, where my skill sets are utilized best. I love working on programs. I love being a program manager. This technology and open access platform is so exciting to me. Working with these different customers and interfacing with them. My hope is to continue to grow in this programmatic role and really take the NGMC AP group to the next level and continuing to expand. I hope to share a press release in the coming months on an awesome commercial deal that we've done or a really good capture for one of our internal programs. That kind of stuff is really thrilling to me. So I'm excited to continue to grow there.
And I love the teaser here that there's more to come. That is
Hope to say.
I'll kind of close with this piece here. It's really exciting to see Northrop Grumman continue to have these press releases, continue to make an impact in an environment that has drastically changed. And what I mean by that is you rewind back the clock, 2020, the CHIPS initiative was all the rage. And this was going to be the way that the United States was going to make a big splash. Now, there's been varying different kinds of impacts from the CHIPS initiative. I mean, everything from portions of it, like NatCast being closed down, to other portions like Section 9902, kind of getting a revamp or a relook on how they're making investments. Yet Northrop Grumman continues to not only pick up the pace, but have press releases that announce that, hey, not only do we hear what is happening nationwide, we're moving forward with government, without government, to ensure that the United States is in a position for security, both economic security, microelectronic security, national security, as part of our foundation and vision for the future. So it's exciting to hear your vision for the next steps of your career. And I think it kind of directly aligns with the reason that Northrop Grumman is making such a big impact in this space. So, Brittany, it was a pleasure having you on here.
Thanks for having me. This was great. It was awesome to talk about so many things in this space, and I'm excited to be here.
And I'm looking forward to watching your career. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.